If going to work fills you with dread, if you're starting to doubt your own self worth, your abilities, or even your sanity, you are not alone and you're not imagining it. Workplace bullying is real and I've lived through it myself. Even now, 16 years later, I still have occasional nightmares about it. I also spent almost 20 years in HR before setting up my executive coaching practice 16 years ago, and I have helped many people recover from the exact same thing. In this video, I'm sharing the 7 steps to take if you think you're being bullied, because the longer you don't deal with it, trust me, the harder it is to come back from it. So let's talk about how to protect yourself and start taking back your power. Much of what I'm covering in today's video, I have covered in previous videos, especially the ones on narcissistic behavior, workplace bullying, and toxic environments. But I wanted to bring everything together in one comprehensive video. Whether you're new here or you've seen some of my other content, this will give you a clear step-by-step guide on exactly what to do if you believe that you're being bullied in work. Workplace bullying is one of the most distressing things a person can experience in their entire life, let alone their career. It doesn't just damage your self-esteem, it can strip you of your confidence, impact your mental health, your physical health, and leave you questioning your own worth and abilities. It's trauma, and trauma has a long shelf life if you don't deal with it properly. So, before we get into the detail, just one really important point here. While every situation is different, I always recommend that you tell someone at work, whether that's your line manager, HR, or a trusted leader, or someone who can offer you advice and help you document the issue. However, let me be brutally honest. In the vast majority of cases that I've seen, and I've seen a lot in almost 36 years, reporting it does not always lead to a resolution, especially if the bully has power or status within the organisation. So yes, I 100% recommend that you raise it as an issue, because with the right company culture, it will be dealt with. But always, always, always have a backup plan. Start looking for another job now and do not wait around hoping that it will get better. The longer you stay in a toxic environment, the harder your recovery will be. I've done a video on recovery. Again, the link will be below. Let's start then with why bullies bully. It's a common misconception that bullies pick on people because they're weak. In fact, usually it's quite the opposite. Most workplace bullies go after competent, compassionate, professional people, those who are liked, respected, and doing a great job. Why do they do that? Because bringing down those types of people gives the bully the greatest sense of power. It strokes their ego and feeds their need for control. Put simply, bullies build themselves up by tearing other people down. They feel threatened by your presence, your ability, or the way others respond positively to you. Rather than working on their own shortcomings, they go into attack mode. And sadly, if they sense you won't fight back or that you're likely to stay quiet, they literally ramp up that behavior. That's why it's so important to spot the signs. Knowledge is power. Protect your energy and take steps to get yourself out or deal with the problem as quickly and safely as possible. So here are the 7 things to do if you think you're being bullied at work. Number 1, really important, trust your gut. The first thing I want to say is this: if it feels like bullying, it probably is. Workplace bullying does not always look like shouting or open outward aggression. Often it's subtle, and I've done videos on covert bullying. It could be exclusion from meetings, deliberate undermining, being talked over, publicly criticised, having your work dismissed or sabotaged, and being talked about behind your back. Many of my clients tell me that they feel confused at first, and confusion is a huge red flag. They know that something isn't right, but they second guess themselves. This is especially true when the bully is skilled at manipulation or gaslighting, making you question your own reality. The problem is that we would never knowingly treat somebody badly, misuse them, lie, and manipulate. So we mistakenly believe that others wouldn't do that either. And sadly, that is not the case. So tune into your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, if it feels off, it probably is. Start paying close attention and don't ignore it in the hope that it will stop. Number two, document everything. The moment you start to suspect you're being bullied, start a private record of events. This could be a physical notebook, and that's what I used to do. I would have a physical notebook, and every time something happened, I'd flip to the back and scribble it in the back. And I suggest that you keep that record with you at all times. Don't leave it in the office, not even in a locked drawer. You could use a secure cloud document, but not on your work computer, or even an email that you send to yourself that you update regularly. But again, be careful of that because your company can always have access to your work-based email. So just a word of caution with that. When you're doing this, I really recommend that you record dates and times of the incidents. What was said or done? Who was present? Who were the witnesses? How did it make you feel? That's a crucial one from an HR perspective. Any supporting evidence, so emails, text messages, witness statements, WhatsApp messages. Being able to describe patterns and provide evidence is absolutely crucial, especially if you eventually want to report it formally. Sadly, many bullies are clever. They behave perfectly when management or other people are watching and save the abuse for when no one else is around. Keeping a clear record not only helps you stay grounded in what's actually happening, but also gives you a really strong foundation if you decide to take things further. I can tell you from my almost 20 years in HR, if you don't have the evidence, in other words, your record of events, it will be impossible for the organisation to do anything about it. So, if you're already quite far into your bullying experience, start now. I'd also recommend that you go back and try to record as many instances as possible, providing as much information as possible of things that have happened in the past. To help remind yourself, go back through your work diary and see when you've had meetings with your bully. And that can be often really helpful to help you recall all of the things that have happened. But it is crucial that you go back and do that. Number three, set boundaries with the bully. This part is hard, but powerful and absolutely essential. Start with setting strong boundaries. And it doesn't matter if you've not had them before, previously, you can start from now. Bullies thrive on your silence and your compliance. If they think they can get away with a snide comment, passive aggressive remark, or underhanded tactic, they are going to keep doing it. They do choose the people they're going to bully, and typically they bully people who don't fight back or do not set strong boundaries. You don't need to get into a full confrontation. I would never recommend doing that, but you can start being really clear and assertive. Here are some examples. If somebody says something you don't like, you could say something like, "That comment was unnecessary. Please do not speak to me like that." Another, "I'm happy to discuss this professionally, but not if you raise your voice." Final one, I'd like to clarify what was said, as that's not my understanding. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard regarding comebacks with bullies is what Chase Hughes, and he's the number one body language expert in the world, what he says about it. He recommends that when someone says something mean or passive aggressive, simply stare at them for around 5 seconds. Don't react, just stare, and then say, "Can you repeat that?" I've tried this and it's an absolute doozy. It makes the abuser incredibly uncomfortable when, number one, you don't react, two, they're forced to say their mean statement again. Even if you're shaking inside, holding your ground calmly and respectfully sends a clear message that you are not an easy target. Of course, safety is paramount. If you're worried that standing up for yourself could escalate things and lead to retaliation, it may be safer to focus on documenting the behaviour and removing yourself as soon as possible. Number 4, tell someone at work. As I mentioned earlier, I always recommend telling someone internally within your organisation. That might be your line manager, if they're not the bully, a senior leader that you trust, human resources, HR, or a union rep or employee support advisor. Keep your communication clear and factual. Share what you've observed, how it's impacting you, and what support you're seeking. That's a really important one. Just saying something like, "I just want it to stop," that's not enough. You need to be really clear on what behaviour change you want. Avoid emotional language, accusations, or sweeping statements. That's why it's really important to stick to those facts that you've been collating and your documentation. But, and this is a big one, do not rely on the company fixing it. In most cases I've dealt with, even when the complaint was valid and the evidence was clear, nothing has happened. Or worse, the victim has been treated as if they are the problem. Let's get real here. HR, even more senior managers, are likely to be on the company side. In particular, HR are there to keep the company safe from litigation. Additionally, HR personnel often lack training on how to handle these types of situations, so it often falls into the too hard to deal with category and can take months to resolve if it's addressed at all. Of course, that's not always the case, which is why I recommend it as a starting point. However, it's essential to be realistic, and that's why the next step is so crucial. Number 5, start looking for another job immediately. I cannot stress this enough. Do not wait to be rescued. Start making plans to get out now. Even if it feels unfair, even if you love the work you're doing or your wider team, even if you hope it will blow over, the longer you stay in a toxic environment, the more damage it will do to you. The erosion of your self-esteem, confidence, and self-respect can be slow but devastating. And that's exactly what the bully wants, to reduce you to a shell of your former self. Even if you don't end up leaving, the act of job searching, updating your CV, and imagining yourself elsewhere can be incredibly empowering. It shifts you from helpless to "I have options," and that alone can help you with your healing. If all of that feels way too daunting, I have an online program that takes you step by step through writing a CV, job hunting, and interview skills, and even how to do an interview presentation. So there's no excuse on that front if that's the thing that you're panicking about. I'll leave the link below. Number 6, look after your mental health. Being bullied at work is traumatic. It is a trauma. It's not just part of the job or something you should toughen up and ignore. Make time to protect and restore your mental health, and that might include speaking to a coach or therapist, taking regular breaks or annual leave, Practicing self-care rituals, which could include walks, journaling, prayer, hobbies. Talk to friends or family for emotional support, and using apps or audio tools to record and process your thoughts. Whatever helps you feel more grounded, do it. You'll need all of your energy to navigate what's happening, and your nervous system needs to feel safe again. I have lots of videos on how to manage stress and anxiety, overwhelm, functional freeze, burnout. I'm going to leave the link below for that. Please know that there is nothing wrong with you. You did not cause this. Often I find that people have had the most wonderful, unblemished careers, and they can even get into their 50s or even 60s and begin to be bullied. You did not cause this. The problem is not your personality, your work ethic, or your performance. The problem lies solely with the bully and their issues. Number 7. Know when it's time to walk away. Finally, there comes a point when you have to prioritize your own well-being over your career. And I hate to have to say that, but it's absolutely true. If you've raised the issue with work, documented the behavior, tried to set boundaries, and things are still deteriorating, it's time to leave. Yes, I agree, you shouldn't have to, but sometimes we just have to. Don't wait until you're signed off sick, completely burnt out, or seeing somebody like me, really almost a broken person. It's not failure, it's self-preservation, and unfortunately, these things sometimes happen. So many of the clients I've worked with say the same things. I wish I'd left sooner. I wish I'd left sooner, but I kept expecting things to get better. Because the truth is, the longer you stay, the more harm is done, and the longer the recovery will be. I know that walking away can feel like giving up, and you shouldn't have to, but it's actually the opposite. It's choosing yourself, and it's saying, I deserve better than this. And you do. What about taking legal action? You might be wondering whether you can take legal action against your employer or even the bully themselves. The short answer is yes, in some cases, but it's not easy, and it can be incredibly stressful, expensive, and drawn out. Here in the UK, we are governed by European employment legislation, which provides a clear process if you want to pursue a legal case against your employer. That process starts with raising a formal internal grievance where you lay out your complaint in writing with all your collected evidence, which is why it's absolutely crucial to document the abuse. Legally, every company in the UK must have a grievance procedure. If they don't have a specific one, then the ACAS guidelines are enforceable. More on that in a minute. Once you've submitted your grievance in writing with all your evidence, the company should thoroughly investigate and give you an outcome in writing. If you don't like that outcome, you will then get the opportunity to appeal. Ultimately, if the grievance is not resolved to your satisfaction, you can consider resigning and claiming constructive dismissal through the courts. But there are timelines involved in all of this, which I'm not going to go into here. Constructive dismissal means that you're effectively forced to resign due to your employer's failure to address a serious issue like bullying or harassment. But be warned, this route is very hard to prove, and success rates are not very high. As for suing the bully personally, in my 2 decades in HR, followed by my 16 years as an executive coach, I have never once witnessed that happen in the UK. It's extremely rare and legally complex. Things may differ in different countries, particularly in the US, so I always recommend speaking to a legal professional who understands the laws in your area. Quick disclaimer here, this information is for general guidance only and not intended to be legal advice. Everyone's situation is different, and employment laws vary by country to country, and in the US it appears to change state by state. So please seek independent legal advice before making any decisions related to formal complaints, resignation, legal claims, or choosing to resign. The wrap up. If you're being bullied at work, please know this: you are not alone and it's not your fault. You're likely being targeted because you're good at what you do, kind hearted, and respected by others. That makes you a threat to someone who is insecure or power hungry, but their behaviour is not a reflection of your worth. Trust your gut, document the facts, set boundaries, and tell someone. But most importantly, have an exit plan. Your health and happiness are way more important than any job. What next? If you have anything you'd like to add to today's video or any topics you'd like to see me cover in future, please leave them in the comment section below. I read and respond to everything and really love interacting with you all. If you enjoyed this video, can I ask a huge favour, please? Please support this channel with a like, comment, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. It's completely free, and if you don't have a YouTube account, it takes seconds to set one up, and that's completely free too. You'll never get emails from me, YouTube, or anyone else, and it really does make a massive difference in helping me grow this channel. Finally, thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your support. It really means the absolute world to me. Thank you.